Alex Ansary, January 27th, 2016. I've been watching this situation in Burns, Oregon develop since it began. I've been involved in the alternative media for at least 10 years, and I know a psyops when I see one. This is one of the greatest psyops that I've ever seen in my life. It's also very sad to see people fall for the psyops simply because they don't like to see the corruption. So they believe people are genuine when people show up that they really don't know anything about, because they pitch a good line and people like the idea of having a revolution, so they don't even realize when they're being led into a trap, more so. And we can see through the comment sections how nasty people are if people don't fall for the same traps that they do. So we're in a day and age where people don't even understand or know who their friends are. They're falling for psyop after psyop. I want you to take a look at the video game called Shattered Union. It came out in 2005, and it depicts a future breakdown situation in America where there's a civil war, and you could even say an occupation on American soil. And I think that some of these manufactured battles that we're seeing internally in our own country are stepping stones to where our country is really going. So we're seeing our country weakened by this manufactured civil unrest, social unrest on a number of different levels. We've seen it mount over the last few years, how they controlled the Occupy movement, how they've controlled Black Lives Matter, and how this, in fact, is very much controlled. We look at the players involved: John Ritzmeier, Blaine Cooper, Pete Santilli, and a cast of other interesting characters. Ryan Payne, who claimed that there were snipers that were positioned on BLM agents during the Bundy standoff. This is what he told reporters. Pete Santilli has his own history of being insightful, calling for federal equipment, cargo, things like that to be encircled and, attacked, looted, if you will. He's called for Hillary Clinton's vagina to be shot. These aren't things that normal people are able to get away with, but you can if you're a Pete Santilli, if you're an FBI informant, one of these other individuals that may have been groomed for this role they're playing now a long time ago. I've mentioned before that there is information that a lot of these guys came from Arizona, not including Pete Santilli, but John Ritzmeier and a few others. Blaine Cooper, who's also known as Stanley Hicks. And they have criminal histories. Now, John Ritzmeier may have served in the military. A lot of these other guys have not. But yet they've been calling veterans to their aid. One of the biggest things that stands out about this thing in Burns is that the FBI and the police allowed the roads to remain open. So people are going back and forth to the stores and getting supplies. And this normally wouldn't happen in a regular standoff. And so it caused a lot of people to raise basic questions about how legitimate this whole thing is. It's been made into a circus on purpose. The only thing missing literally is Ronald McDonald with the makeup and everything. It's been deliberately made into a circus with insightful individuals converging in Burns, Oregon, and calling people out and calling people on. Different people have come out. Different people that may also be targeted. People that have come out saying that they want to kill federal agents. People willing to die. People willing to engage in this false revolution. Really, you're dealing with people that have lost the will to live because of other traumas going on in the world. They've been beaten up by the world. But also, perhaps they've also received a subliminal or been at the receiving end of some sort of influence for them to come out and be a part of the staged revolution. That is why the federal government, that is why the FBI allowed the roads to remain open. The greatest role the FBI played in reality was controlling and handling Pete Santilli, in my opinion, and a few of these other individuals. Notice how John Ritzmeier was able to get all the way back to Arizona, and he turned himself in after recording a video with himself and his daughter. If, this is one of the hottest stories in America, and you have media there and surveillance and, FBI. How does John Ritzmeier get all the way to Arizona? So people that were actually believing that this whole thing was legitimate days ago are looking at things like that, and the fact that there's no video of the actual shooting of Mr. Finnegan, and many other details. It's causing people to really question what's going on here. And I'm not your typical hoax guy, says this is a hoax and that's a hoax. But when you have a shooting, it's normal for there to be a video or a picture or what we have are the inner circle members, the people that started this, that converged. We have the Bundys, we have Ryan Payne, we have John Ritzmeier, we have Miss Cox, I believe, we have Pete Santilli, Brian Cavalier, I believe, maybe a few others, all in jail. The number one suspects for being federal informants or provocateurs or agents have all been safely removed from the scene. What you have now are some loose cannons that are up there. You have the Watchmen YouTube channel, which is restreaming whatever Pete Santilli's wife or girlfriend is putting out, along with the other guy that recently joined. And the other guy that recently joined, who has replaced Pete Santilli, is doing the live streaming. He doesn't seem sane to me. Not if you're talking about going up there and willing to die. And notice how some of these people were allowed up there. And so it's like they've been replaced. One group has been taken out, like the FBI agents, the provocateurs, the people that helped set this up. They've been removed from the situation. Not to mention that Blaine Cooper, his wife, and another guy, they all allegedly escaped the refuge this morning. That's why I'm putting this video out now. They got a few people that are still at the refuge that act like they're in this till the very end. There's one guy walking back and forth with a gun. That was the last video I uploaded. It's his call to arms. Notice how the FBI is not shutting down that stream. And think about that. I want you to think about the fact they haven't shut down these streams. I want you to think about the fact that Ritzmeier made his way all the way back to Arizona. I want you to think about the fact there's no pictures. I want you to think about the fact that this is really, really big. This might be a bigger deception than what you've previously considered, what you've previously thought. So we've got to get beyond ego, and people got to get beyond being emotionally hurt. Because this is real. They've gotten away with convincing a number of people that this was real. This was a beta test for something else. Mr. Finnegan, was he really shot? It's tragic if he was shot. But surely by now, and at any point in the near future, there should be some pictures, or there should be some video evidence of what happened. Why is it taking so long to see those very things? And so I want to leave you with a warning. The issue with Agenda 21 and BLM corruption is so huge and so big. That's why I believe they did this, because there's bigger threats to our sovereignty and our land to come. If they can bait a group of people out there and use social media and have certain people on YouTube for years build up trust that say insightful things that no one else is allowed to do, that are there to play these heroic leaders, we see how Pete Santilli is being set up to play a huge role in this deception. And there's a reason why Alex Jones hasn't really called him out. He did a video recently, but he kept his mouth shut throughout most of this while it was happening, when he could have actually said something. Instead, Alex Jones these days is involved in his own deceptions, but that is another topic, and that is another YouTube series, of which I've also discussed. But with Pete Santilli, I'm seeing a very different deception, as Pete Santilli has been used to capture the audience, readers, listeners, viewers that have left the Alex Jones camp, that have sought a different flavor. They've thought they've gotten a different perspective on things from Pete Santilli. In fact, in reality, I believe that InfoWars and Pete Santilli have conspired to cover up the fact that they're both working different sides of the intelligence community. That's why you're not seeing Joe Biggs go out and confront and expose Pete Santilli. Joe Biggs went out and did his reporting. You may have noticed that. And then they left to make it look like, okay, InfoWars is going to be fair. And they're going to be somewhat skeptical, about how, how real this whole protest thing really is. And of course, Alex will do damage control after the fact, as he did this morning or late last night. The reality is this is a deception that is a psyops on the people experiencing this false revolution through social media, because there may be a time where the real patriots need to come out, but if they know your number, and if they know, you're the ones that are looking at this the most and the most likely to come out or be baited out, then they can really weaken this country if there's ever an invasion, and we need patriots, people to actually defend this country. And of course, that's the need for an AR-15, of course, invading armies, occupying armies. People keep asking, what's the need for an AR-15? It's for a major threat. And so, America's being affected right now and weakened right now. So it's not going to be able to deal with those greater threats later on. A lot of this BLM land, there's many national monuments, and all that could easily be turned over to China. And there could easily be some sort of a major resistance that they try to control within this country. Once people start resisting these declarations and being told that China owns this or this country owns this, they can actually set people up for a trap and have them go in certain areas where they end up in the hands of the enemy instead of actually strategically taking on the enemy and defending certain territories. And so a day is going to come where defending this country is really going to be a very important thing. But if they infiltrate early on to constantly misdirect people, then that is being done intentionally for them to conquer this country. People need to look at this stuff realistically when they see these supposed revolutions pop up on the map. And what we see now is we see a number of individuals that are there at the refuge that aren't all there together in the head. And it seems like they are being set up for a fall. They're being set up for perhaps much worse. Some of those people that are still there, like the big guy with the gun that was screaming for people to come up there, who actually said to kill, he actually said on YouTube, he actually said kill them, in reference to the FBI and police and anyone setting up a checkpoint, because now there's checkpoints. So there's checkpoints preventing people from going up to the refuge, but they're saying come anyways. I mean, I'm trying to be nice, but the reality is I think you have to be damaged to not see how this whole thing is a psyops, including the characters that are there at the refuge now. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, and also check out some of my past work. I'm Alex Ansary signing off for January 27th, 2016 from Southern Colorado.